Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ringside with Team 841. Joining me today, I've actually got two people joining me. So we have Mr. Biogenesis over here. Say hi, Bio.
Hi.
And we have Classics Gamer over here. Say hi, Classics.
Hello.
As ever, I am your host, the Mancunian Nightmare, and today we're going to be reviewing WWE SummerSlam Night 1. Um, Me personally, guys, I was quite surprised with a couple of things that went down here. I mean, obviously, if you compare the results to the predictions video, I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anybody. Um, but I found I was quite happily surprised. I think overall, I was very happy with how night one went down. What about you, Bayo?
Yeah, I was really impressed with night one. In all honesty, there was probably only one match for the whole night where I could say that I wasn't particularly invested in. Um, but yeah, I think it was close to 5 star. It was close to 5 star.
Hmm.
And considering that night two has in my opinion, has the big matches. Because Danhausen's on there. Um, it was, yeah, no, I was really quite shocked, and at how good the actual quality of the wrestling was for the whole night.
Yeah, and obviously, we'll go through the card and the results in a minute, and we can give some sort of thoughts and opinions on it. Classics, a quick sort of summary of what you thought of night one.
I thought it was good. Um, I was just thinking when you were talking, Bio, that I think maybe this might have actually been better than night one of WrestleMania, which is mad to say. But for their first attempt at a two-night WrestleMania, first night SummerSlam or two-night SummerSlam, I thought it was really good. I think they put the right matches on night one. I think it doesn't have to be all these major, apart from one, which was the main title. But I thought the others, it was a good round of matches. I don't think there was one I wasn't really interested in. I think all of them. My one was Hell in a Cell. That was my most anticipated one. But I think overall, great night.
Just really quickly touching on what you said there, though. Now, am I not right in saying that this is the second year that it's been two nights? Was it not two nights last year?
No,
Oh
first time
no,
it's
no,
been
it
two
wasn't.
nights.
This is the first time it's been 2 nights.
They really hyped it up last year. Like after the SummerSlam last year or during the show, next year we have it's going two nights. I was like, okay, that's exciting.
Well, I mean, that just highlights for you all, guys. We're just three normal blokes. We don't get it 100% right all of the time, as we're going to attest to with these results. So, with that being said, we start making our way through the card. I think potentially surprising to some, they actually made the decision to open with the women's world title match, Liv Morgan versus Io Sky. Now, I made a statement during the predictions video. If Liv wins, we riot. I have to stand by it. So, guys, I'm going to leave you two to crack on, and I'm going to go cause a riot. But no, in all seriousness, though, guys, I was very impressed with how this match went down. I thought there was some fantastic spots. I mean, the Spanish fly from the top rope. I can never not be impressed by that. And the bullet train thing from Io on the outside against the ring post. Ow! Like, ouch! Um, but I think the one thing that really surprised me here was that Liv Morgan came away with the W. What do you reckon, Bio?
Yeah, I was quite shocked because I felt that it was an absolute waste of the Queen of the Ring. Um, other than the fact that we got a 5 star match out of it.
Yeah.
Which which is brilliant. I expect nothing less from them too, in all honesty. But I was very shocked that Liv came away with the title. We did discuss the sort of thing that could happen if Liv did keep the title, but I think we were a bit more invested in the idea of a unification with Io and Rhea. But yeah, Liv's got the title. I'm not going to complain. I'm not really sick of Liv or anything like that. But yeah, it took me by surprise, but I'm really happy with with the match. It was a really good opener.
What about yourself, Classics? Anything to add there? Anything different?
Um, I think it was a great match. but I just think that the fact it was Liv's first title defense since WrestleMania, I think just shows for me just how little they care about this title, which is a shame to say. I don't want them to not care about any title. I want them to give it enough push, and but it's her first defense, and she's done nothing with it except just go, "I'm the greatest women's champion of all time." It's like, please shut up. Like, just yeah, just I just think that I wasn't surprised that Liv won. I had I was thinking she's gonna win. Io won the Queen of the Queen of the Ring, so I had no reason why she would have won here. I think it was a mistake. I think they should have put it on EO. But I just think that if they had have put it onto EO, I think it should have been the beginning of the end for the Judgment Day. But given how Raquel's just won the IC title, I'm not quite sure now. But
Yeah.
I mean, I have sort of heard whispers about that they could be pushing towards a triple threat at Mania between Roxanne, Raquel, and Liv for the world title, where they implode. Because they have been teasing this little bit of Roxanne being a bit iffy, but she's still a heel. But I think overall, I think it was a good match. I just think Liv for me, she's not doing anything with the title. You've defended it once, like what? Why? She could have defended it every month, but she hasn't. And
Yeah,
there's been
but
no
you know what? I
competition for
think
her.
the way that she then played that off on the post show, because they touched on that when she was interviewed by the panel on the post show, and they highlighted that she's not defended the title. She's held it for 3 months. She's not defended it, and I think her reply there was absolutely spot on. I absolutely loved it, and she simply sat there and said, "Yeah, I've not defended it for 3 months, but who's challenged me? Who's come to me? They're all running scared." And I think the way that she played that off, absolutely superb. So if we all give it if we give the match a rating, say out of 5, what are we going with classics?
I think a good solid. I'm not quite sure if it's really a 5 for me, but I think 4.5. I think is fair.
It
Up
gets a
to
5
4 and a
from me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with classics and go with 4.5. And I think the only thing that was stopping it, that makes me not give it a 5-star match, was the fact that we did see Raquel and Roxanne. I think if it had just been the two of them, they just had a good clean match, and the match went exactly the same, then yeah, I think I'd be giving it a 5-star. But look, in summary, definitely a fantastic opening to night one, and I think these two women really set the bar for the rest of the night. Now, obviously, we started with what we perceived as a bit of a surprise result. And that sort of continued into match 2 with the 6-man tag match. The Bloodline versus LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys. Guys, am I the only one that's starting to fall in love again with Solo Sikoa now that he's a babyface?
No, I think he's great. I honestly think
So,
he's great.
obviously, with with how I made my own prediction and stuff, I expected a Solo return into heel, but I couldn't stop laughing when he did the run back.
That was
When
great. That was a great,
it
great little
was
spot.
fantastic.
It's just the look on his
Um,
face.
it's what's also mad as well is that, so do you know when we had the John Cena class, well, the not the John Cena Classic, the tournament for John Cena.
Yeah.
Yeah, Solo was getting booed with "You can't wrestle." Yeah, and now and then at SummerSlam, we've got the crowd shouting, "Let's go Solo." It wasn't that long ago. It was only a couple of months ago. Yeah, it was literally only a couple of months ago, where he had that match on Raw. Um, I believe it was Zack Ryder. He wrestled. I can't remember, but yeah, literally it was, "You can't wrestle. You can't wrestle." That's what he was getting, and now he's getting a "Let's go Solo" chant, like from the crowd and stuff, and it really does amaze me, to be fair. That in a couple of short months, somebody who's got like next to, who's lost all of his character, is went from being the enforcer of the bloodline to the leader of a regressed bloodline, and now he was doing these funny faces, getting a laugh out of the crowd, and now suddenly he's got the crowd on his side. I thought that was fantastic.
I think it just sort of goes to show just how important, though, sometimes refreshing someone's character can be, though, isn't it? Because you're dead right with what you said there. The crowd turned on him after he split from the bloodline and he had his run with the Timu bloodline. And I think people just started to get a little bit sick of him because he was acting exactly the same, but just in a different sort of environment. And now all of a sudden, he's playing this almost comedy sort of character um, with like you say, his facial expressions and some of the stuff that he's doing in the ring. Completely agree. When he ran it back, I was absolutely howling, and from that point, I was like, yeah, do you know what? I like you again. That was the turning point for me. Yeah, it just really speaks volumes about how important character work can be with keeping the crowd on side. Classics, what did you think about LA Knight being the one that picked up the W?
Um, I wasn't surprised. I mean, I've always said that I think he needs a push. But I think him getting the pin, I think, was probably the right move. But yeah, I just thought that overall this match was great. I've been really getting into Solo's character for the last couple of weeks. I think he was going stale for a long time. He was just this same character, this serious character, and now we've just seen this lighter side, this more comical side of him, which I think he does so well. And it's just, but I think one thing for me is that when Roman turned babyface, he came out and said, "People change, not me." And it was the same kind of heel character. He was just a good guy. And Solo's done for me exactly the same. It's just still this sort of serious sort of like entrance. There's not much change there. His outfit's the same. He still wears the white suit, the red suit, all these suits. But he's just a babyface. And I just think that I've never seen him as a babyface. He's always been this outlandishly annoying, obnoxious heel. But now that he's turned face, I think it's great. I think this could set up a tag team for him and LA. The way he embraced LA at the end, I thought was great. Um, and if anything, he put them both over in a big way. He raised both their hands. He was doing it on Raw. He was saying, I'm teaming with LA, Royce Keys, with LA Knight. He put them over massively. So I just think that he's using that experience he's had for the last couple of years to put people over, even though he
Yeah,
hasn't
That's great.
won much himself, which is a shame.
yeah, and do you know what? The sort of embrace at the end as well, like you say, where him and LA Knight hugged and Solo put his hand up. I'm going to go to bio with this one because we seem to have this bit of a back and forth where we'll agree for a while and then we'll disagree for a while. For me, that sort of felt like a tease of Solo turning on LA Knight. I was expecting something to happen like a Samoan spike or just something. What about you? Did you expect anything more to come of this?
I didn't actually, with the way that the match went, I didn't expect anything like that. If you'd asked me pre-match, I'd say yes. But with the way that the match went, and with the way that Solo was playing to the crowd was loving it. He was clearly loving it as well. Um, I didn't expect anything bad to happen at the end of the match. No chance. Not after they picked up the W as well. Maybe if they'd lost. But yeah, it was great, and I actually was really invested in this match, considering it was the second match on the card. Um, it was it was actually really good. Usually, the second match on the card is the one that they don't care about.
Yeah,
And the first match is okay, it's first, it's important, it sets up the night, gets the crowd ready. The second match is usually a match that, doesn't particularly have much build. I sort of thought the six-woman tag was going to be the second match on the card. Um, but yeah, absolute banger of a second match. And it, I really don't know what that means, because usually the bloodline foreshadows what happens to Roman on night two. That's what I'm used to. So I'm really not sure what this is really going to mean for night two. But
I, th-
other than that, for me, it gets. I'm giving it another 5.
I think it does open up some questions though for tonight as well, doesn't it? Because like you say, again, dead right there in the fact that what happens with the bloodline then normally has some sort of connection to what happens with Roman. I will notice that you disagreed with me there, so that's another tick for the disagree box. I think we're going to need to start a tally chart with this. Um, Personally, I think I'm going to go with a 4 out of 5 with this one for two main reasons. Number one, although I can't say anything bad about this match in particular, I really enjoyed it. I'll also highlight the absolute picture perfect spear that we saw from Jey Uso,
Yeah.
which surprised me because I've never been convinced with a Jey Uso spear before. I struggle to really enjoy 6-person tag matches, and I think because it's mainly because a lot of the time you've got too much going on, there's sort of too many stories there. And, look, if this would have been before the women's match, I think maybe that might have inclined me to give it a bit of a higher rating. But I'd still go with a good solid 4 out of 5. I don't think there was much going wrong here. I don't think there was an awful lot that they could have improved on. What about you, Classics? What are we going with?
I think I agree with Bio. I think I'm going to go for a 5 out of 5. I think this match was awesome. I think all the guys in this match, I think, did really well. I think the spot in the timekeepers area with Royce Keys and Jacob, I thought was great. Took both of them out, so there was no way that Jacob could come back in and suddenly dominate. I just think taking out the big guy, I was half expecting Jacob to sidestep and him to go into the barrier, but no, they both went over into it. I think the Usos are great with any. I think if you put them in a ring with anyone, I think they make everyone look good. Similar to Chad Cable, I think they just can do anything with anyone. I think Solo as well. I thought was, like I said, was really really good. And LA, I think he deserves a good solid push with a title for a decent time. I think they've been saying that he botches a lot, he doesn't do things right. I was like, yeah, but everyone does a botch every now and again. You can't just say, look at Nia Jax, breaking Becky's face that time, but he hasn't gone back to the performance center. He's a solid in the ring. He's so good, and he's what 40 odd now, so he deserves something. Unless they're just going to make him say he just puts people over, which but Solo put him over if anything. So yeah, I just think a great match, and I think I look forward to seeing what happens tonight on night 2. I do think this is playing a little bit. I think maybe there might be some back and forth with Jacob and uh, Jay, because they haven't always got on a lot of the time. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. So
100%, yeah. And I think there's a lot of the result of this match does open up some questions. It opens up some possibilities, and that's not always a bad thing because it gives you a reason to keep watching. What happens next. And I think that has perfectly teed up people to tune in tonight and see what happens with night 2. Now, going into this next match, so we obviously look. I said on the predictions that I see nothing other than a Gunther win. And I think I was one of few people that wanted to see a Gunther win, purely because I think if Gunther would have taken out here, it would have been really difficult for him to recover from. And then Nick Aldis came out to Morning Glory by Oasis, and all of a sudden I was the biggest Nick Aldis fan in the world. If you notice, the name's a bit of a giveaway. I'm from Manchester. We like our Oasis. And do you know what, guys? Nick performed a damn sight better than what I maybe expected to. Now, those that have seen Nick Aldis work in the past, we all know how good he is in the ring. We know how good of a wrestler he is. But the guy's had 3 years out. I don't think at any point that came across in this match. How about you, Bio?
It didn't come across like that in the match at all. But I will say Gunther made Nick look really good. Taking my heart out of this, Gunther really sacrificed himself to make Nick look good, because that's what the story was. That's what they were telling. They were trying to tell the story of Nick Aldis in this match. and Gunther really sold it. He really, really sold it. And Gunther is the ring general. He is. Gunther is probably the most solid performer in the ring that WWE have from the male card. So I think that for this being Nick's first match, potentially his only match, I think it was a very safe bet putting him in with Gunther, because the match was never going to look bad. Gunther made Pat McAfee look good, you know. So
Yeah.
if I'm taking my heart out of this for my rating, I'm going to give this match a 4, because you know it, it was exactly what it needed to be. It wasn't breathtaking by any means. It got me excited, but it didn't get me really, really excited. It was fairly obvious during the match that Gunther was going to win, because of the way they were telling the story. Pre-match, I really thought they were going to give Nikki's first win on his first match. But that doesn't always happen. Look at Sting.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it was a good match. It was fine. It was solid. And third match on the card as well. I liked the fact that there were stage as well. Showing that the showing after that match, and then the backstage is showing Gunther, and then coming out and it's like, oh, it's next and stuff like that. Because I kind of like it, because it's almost like you get a behind the scenes look when you don't really, what's actually
Yeah.
happening. But I kind of like it. It gave it that big match feel. Which is something that I haven't really seen since Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Like that. I haven't really felt that, but yeah, I had a big match feel about it, and yeah, it was solid.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody expected this to be a fast-paced spot fest, if they're being honest with themselves, did they? That's not what you get with Gunther. Like you say, he's a technical wrestler. Inside the ring, he's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, he really made Nick Aldis look good in this match. For me, there was one or two teaser spots where I thought maybe, but overall, yeah, look, I do agree. The right person won. And Gunther also said himself on the post show as well that Nick gave him a far better fight than what he was intending. Um, what did you think of Classics? Would you have perhaps done anything differently with this match?
No, I don't think I would. I think it was the first time I've seen Nick like perform. I did see him a little bit on Gladiators as what was he? Was he Tornado he was one of the new Gladiators, and he was a bad gladiator, a bit like Wolf, who was my all-time favorite gladiator. Um, but I think he was great in this match. I think Gunther made him look really, really good. Nick sold. I just think Nick came out. He looked. He obviously clearly has been training for this for a long time. Like it's not just like he's been in there for like a few months, but he's been getting back into shape. But he came out looking incredible.
Yeah,
And I think Gunther, getting out of the ring, thinking he's won, and then like the general shock. Gunther sold the shock of how like, I'm underestimating this guy. I thought Wade on Nick's side was really good. For once, he's not off a heel's ass. For a better term. Yeah, I can't think of a better term for that. But yeah, I thought Nick was great. I think no question in my mind was he not going to was Gunther not going to lose this. I think when they showed that stat on the screen saying 37 straight wins without a non-title match, I was like, yeah, he's not losing this. I was half expecting Adam Pearce to come out and either cost Nick or cost Gunther, but that didn't happen. He won clean in the middle of the ring with a tap out. I think overall, yeah, it was a really good match. I did want to see Nick and Adam, because there was that hint or that tease for a long time that Nick and Adam were going to have a match. And then on the post show, Nick was going to give his resignation to Triple H, but Triple H said no, tore it up, said you're reinstated. But I want to see Nick do another match. I don't want this to be its only match. I think, why would you spend that long getting into shape if you're just going to have a one-off? Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on that point, I will say if you look at the like The Rock, when The Rock came back and had that tag team match, and you could clearly see, listen, he's still a big guy, still fit enough, but his timing's completely off. There's a difference in that The Rock's been like completely away from the business when Nick's in the business still. He's still there. So, his timing's going to be on point. The fact that all of the guys are in the gym every day, he can also go to the gym every single day with the other wrestlers. So, like, in terms of being ready and being prepared, he probably knew that this was going to happen, so he's kept himself in shape, but it's easy enough for him to do because he's with the wrestlers anyway, so. And in terms of like match planning, or being even just being involved, he could probably get involved with Bobby Roode and Tim directing stuff, like doing some practice and stuff. So, he's still there in the business, and the fact that he's still there, because as you mentioned on the post show, I'm quite happy with that, to be honest with you.
yeah. I think when he handed his resignation papers to Triple H, my expectation was either what happened, which was Triple H ripping the papers up, or that he accepts the resignation but presents him with a contract instead, and he does go onto a sort of run as an in-ring performer as opposed to a general manager. I'm not sure I would have liked Adam Pearce getting involved in this because I think it would have took something away from it. I think in terms of how the match itself went down, yeah, I completely agree with what they did here, and I think Bio, you're dead right. I think this gets a good solid 4 out of 5. Are we actually all three going to be in agreement with this one?
I think a 4 out of 5 is good score for this. I will say this, that there's been a good few general managers that have been a general manager and an in-ring performer at the same time. We had Stephanie and Triple H when they fought Kurt Angle and Ronda. We've had Daniel Bryan, I think. No, he wasn't. He was just a GM. But there's been a good few wrestlers that have been GMs and have also been in-ring performers. So there's no reason why they can't have a second contract as an in-ring performer as well. I think it would.
I can actually only think of Stephanie.
I know that while Kurt was general manager, got
Kurt
involved in a match because he
Kurt
did
did.
it with the Shield, didn't he? When I want to say Roman,
Yes, he was the Raw general manager at the time. Yeah,
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 and he was it.
he replaced it for a tag team. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
and so Triple H at one point as well.
yeah. So look, it's something that we've seen before. Will we see it again? Who knows? The only way that we're going to find out is keep tuning in. So moving on now to the women's tag match. The 6 women tag he had Paige and the Bellas versus Fatal Influence. Now, I know for a fact that Bio loved the result of this one because this one was the first one that he actually got right all night. I'd say sorry, buddy, but I'm not going to lie to you like that. I think this for me was just very. I don't want to use the term predictable, but I'm struggling to find anything else to describe this match. And that's not necessarily to say it was a bad match because I thought it was quite good. But almost everything that I thought was going to come off this match happened. We had Fatal Influence taking the W. Definitely think it's the right call. And we had the Bellas turning on Paige, which, show of hands, if you're surprised about that.
Not surprised whatsoever.
Exactly.
It was always going to happen. Like,
Yeah, and like I say, this was everything that we expected it to be, which isn't always a bad thing. I just think there is that sort of element there that when a match goes exactly the way that you think it is, it does tend to not feel quite as good as some sort of surprise. But a very short summary on this one for me: decent, probably the right place in the card. It's sort of that break things up kind of match for me. I say this gets a solid 3.5 out of 5 from me.
yeah, I think I agree with that one. Yeah, I thought it was good. Not great, but not surprised with the result at all. Just just now Paige can be a single star again, like something that I think she does better, I think, on her own than she does in a tag team. But this could tease either like a AJ Lee and Paige team up, or even maybe a PCB reunion, maybe, hopefully, possibly. Um, but maybe not, as TKO has got their hands in everything. So yeah, I just think that overall, great match. I did think it was good. Nikki being pushed out the way by Paige, I thought was good. I think Paige taking the pin just basically made it so the Bellas turned. But, but this could play into the storyline in a big way because, like, don't forget, the Bellas called Paige, and then she says, "You took my spot." Okay, I can't wait to hear Paige's response to that. But yeah, I just think that no surprise at all.
It's a
And the
standard
Bellas,
heel thing to do, though, isn't it? You know, they
yeah,
always go
it
in a
is.
side of not making logical sense. Um, I have also heard though that Breeze actually come out of this with an injury, and that they don't know how serious or not serious it actually is. So that could factor into what comes next. But has anyone got a different rating? Anyone think anything other than 3.5?
I think 3.5 is fine.
Yeah. It was a very meh.
Yeah.
It was just there.
Well, that moves us swiftly on then to the WWE title match. CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. Now, initially, the placement on the card surprised me a little bit here with this one, but then toward the end of the night, I saw why this was the match where it was, and obviously we'll touch on that a little later. This one surprised me a little bit because I thought they were really slow out of the blocks for the first sort of 5 minutes or so. I'm kind of sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm not into this. And I had the conversation with the other half while we was watching the match of the big, what you'd anticipate 5-star matches that Cody Rhodes has. You know, John Cena round one, Randy Orton both times. They tended with me to leave me wanting more. Now, as the match progressed, fair enough, I thought the quality improved. I was certainly a lot more into it. Who on earth thought we were going to see CM Punk attack to moonsault? You know, that for me, didn't see it coming. Punk, by any possibility, if you ever get to see this video, please don't try that again. It didn't look good.
Like, oh god, like I've got a bad knee, so I'm going to do a moonsault with one leg only, and use my body to push myself. But then I'm going to knee Cody Rhodes in the face.
Well, he's got to try and get something out of it, hasn't he?
That bit was the accident.
But obviously, look, we did get the. I'm not sure if I'd say a big surprise or not. It was certainly a surprise. I'm not sure I'd say it was a big surprise of Randy Orton coming through the crowd and delivering the RKO to Cody, which allowed CM Punk to pick up the win. Overall, yeah, thought they were slow out of the gates, but in the end, I do think they delivered. Was it a 5-star match for me? No. Again, I think it was a good solid 4. Perhaps could have been higher if the match would have started a little bit better. But yeah, I'm going to go with a solid 4 out of 5 here.
I'm going to go with a 3. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Tick.
I honestly think the injury, obviously the kayfabe injury with the knee, I think that happened in such a crap way, and I think it happened far too early in the match. I would have much more enjoyed the kayfabe injury side of things, and it would have been potentially believable had it happened off, I don't know, the high spot where he went for the elbow drop and missed it. You know, like do some sort of high impact move, right? Have him screaming and writhing in pain. Have the doctors come and check him out. Bring the stretcher down just for it to leave. Like, just to do something like that, yeah, where it genuinely makes everybody think, is he okay, right? And obviously if they're going to let him continue, he's fine, right? But now
Yeah.
it makes the injury believable. Has he torn an ACL? Has he torn his meniscus? Has he broke his kneecap? Yeah, like, whereas, it for me, I'd just look at it as just like, oh, here we go. I'm not gonna like this. But I enjoyed the match for what it was. But I don't think it was a really great match. I think it picked up towards the end. And I didn't see Randy making a return on this one. I really didn't. But he comes in, he makes his return to a monster pop, gets the RKO, and okay, it means that we're going to see Randy versus Cody again, which I'm not going to complain about. But yeah, there we have it.
I think the more important side of that one for me is you've got a solid reason now to get Cody away from the WWE title. I think that's what people want. I think they're getting a little bit bored of the babyface Cody Rhodes character always being pushed towards the top title, and having Randy come out, deliver the RKO, where you could argue that that's cost him the match. That gives you the foundations now to get him away. Have CM Punk go off and feud with somebody else with the belt. Obviously, we've got the number one contenders match tonight. There's a few other people on the card that they could have him feud with over the belt. Keep Cody away from it. Have him have a couple of personal rivalries, maybe even a run with a mid card belt, and let people miss him. Let people miss him being the world champion. One thing that I will say though was I thought the Street Fighter entrance was really cool. I really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, there's also an argument to say that that was the highlight, which you definitely don't want out of a WWE title match. But again, it remains to be seen where they go with both characters from here. Classics, anything to add?
I think this. I was just thinking, what you guys were saying, that I hate to say, but I think this might be Cody's weakest match for a title, either going for a title or a defense. I I wasn't really invested in it. There were things that I missed. I just think I switched off from it. I just don't think it really pulled the build they had to it. The tease they teased it 2 years ago with Punk and Cody, so we all knew this match was going to happen. I just think they were pushing it all through all these like things where they were teaming up all this week or last week, and then they like imploded and like on SmackDown. I just think it was just a weak Cody attempt at the title. I did see the fact that he was playing more the heel than the face in this. He was a very aggressive. He was targeting the knee. He was making a good point of that. But one thing I did notice when Randy cost him the match, Randy did a wink to the crowd and then disappeared. Now, I don't think a heel would necessarily do that for me. I think, could this be a babyface Randy against a heel Cody? I would totally be okay with that. I think this might be the catalyst that makes Cody go off the rails. I think we've seen him starting to crack a little bit with Punk and him, like the thing that the belt in the eye, the elbow on the live show. I just think this sets the push for the fact that Cody turns heel. And for a long time, I heard that it was going to be Punk that was going to turn heel. But I think if Punk's going to go into a program with Gunther, then definitely not. But Cody as a heel, I think we need it. It would refresh his character. He can just have like Sammy be in his face about it, or you're not the golden boy anymore. And like just like we've seen with Sammy, this sort of hints of like turning but not turning, and then turning and then turning back. I just think it sets a good benchmark for Cody to turn heel. I think Randy being the babyface in this would be a really good way to do that. But I think for me, I think I'd say a 3.5 out of 5. It was definitely his weakest match for me.
Yeah, absolutely fair. And look, again, opens up doors for where they can go from here. And then that leads us swiftly then into the main event of the night. Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi inside Hell in a Cell. I was actually a little surprised with this match because it both went longer than I thought, but also I feel like it could have gone for longer than it did, and I'd have still been entertained with it. Who on earth thought that we'd see Brock Lesnar delivering a tombstone pile driver?
Never saw that coming.
Yeah, I made a point in our little panel where I said I was like Brock's wearing elbow pads.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen that. I've never seen Brock wear elbow pads. Um, like especially recently. I don't know if he did in his first ever run, but Jesus, and he comes out in elbow pads. I'm like, what's going to happen in this match? Like, why does he need that extra layer of protection? Um, but I was expecting Brock over. It's not going to be a squash match. I'm disappointed I didn't get the yellow tractor, but
Turns out
it's
it was red.
yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Um, but yeah, it was cool. Brock told a really good story again, really putting Obafemi over. Pulling out all the stops, like doing the Undertaker sit up and that laugh he did in his face. And then tombstoning him on, the unprotected bit of the ring because he ripped the ring up to expose the plywood. And yeah, it was like, right, okay, Obafemi's overcome Brock. We've now got a new end game boss. And Brock came back down and you know, really, really put Obafemi over. But now is that they've done that, now is the time to pull the trigger on Obafemi. They have to now. They have to. Um, and the commentators hinted perhaps that this might be Brock Lesnar's last match. They don't know. I mean, we all were under the impression he was going to retire this SummerSlam anyway. Then we got the Mania thing. Then he came back and he's done nothing. He's really passed the torch over to Obafemi, and we don't know if we're going to see Brock again. And if we don't, and he has that sort of silent retirement, I think he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I think the Brock Lesnar character, I could really imagine doing a sort of silent retirement like that. I think there was a lot to be made out of the post-show remarks from Triple H, refusing to either confirm or deny if that is the last time that we've seen Brock Lesnar. Um, Personally, I both want it to and don't, because I think it means a lot more now for this passing of the torch if we don't see him again. But at the same
Yeah.
time, as we sort of hinted at in the predictions show, I'm not sure I'm ready to say goodbye to such a high profile name again within such a short period of time. But the match I really enjoyed. I think it did absolutely everything that it needed to. It showcased not only that Oba can dish punishment out, he can take it as well. I think we saw the resiliency side of Obafemi here. And I think this particular one, I'm going to go out on a limb actually and give this a 4 out of 5. I don't think there was much more that they could have done with this match that I'd wanted to see.
Just gets a 4 from me. I think it was only because they didn't have extra stuff, extra shenanigans, Paul Heyman getting involved. They had an opportunity to do that. They had an opportunity to start throwing each other off the actual cage itself. It felt like it was a spot fest that needed to go fast. That's what it felt like. And it was fine for what it was, but have that thing. I mean, like what? This is probably the first Hell in a Cell match I've ever watched where I haven't seen somebody's face getting raked over the cage. Right?
That's the first show.
Like, so I think there's so much more that they could have, probably should have done, but we've got what we've got, and we need to be happy with it.
And you, classics, anything more to add that
I
hasn't already
think
been covered?
a 4 out of 5 for me. I think over delivered on what he said when he said on Raw. He goes, "I'm not locked in with you. You're locked in with me, bitch." And I think he proved it right out the gates. He threw Brock into the cage. I was half expecting Over to go into that table that was set up, but no, Brock went right into that table. I was like, Over's going to go into the table, and apart from like the stairs being held off Over's face, Brock didn't really get a lot of the thing with the weapons. For me, I think,
Chairs.
well, yeah, he got the chairs, but normally you see like Brock really go to task with a lot more, and I think he just gave that all those spots were really given to Oba. So he punched the chair out of Brock's hand. He took the tombstone like a champion and kicked out, which Brock couldn't believe. I just I think I was happy that no one got involved, but I just think that Brock putting over Oba here was the right thing. I think he is now the beast of the company. I think that is definitely a passing of the torch. And I was expecting Brock to get back in the ring and do the same thing what he did to Cody about 3 years ago. When he got back in the ring, he shook his hand, hugged him, and hold up his hand. And this time he got the mic and said, "This is the past. This is the future." Will we get Brock another in the ring? I don't personally. I want this to be done. I think that Brock wanted to retire in his hometown, and I think he did that. I think this is it. He might maybe have a little bit more, maybe like a. I want there to be a celebration of his career, but I think Brock, out of the character, he wouldn't want that. He would want a silent retirement, but I do think he deserves to have that career he's had to be highlighted. And I don't, but I think the spot at the end, I don't think Oba was expecting that because Oba was getting out the ring, and whether or not that was scripted or not, because it wasn't against Cody. So whether or not this was actually scripted or not, I don't know. I couldn't tell. But for me, I just think he Oba dominated, which was the right thing. And I think now I was half expecting Paul Heyman to get in the ring and endorse him also and say, "You're now Paul, you're now my guy." But no, that didn't happen. But I definitely think this does set up Oba, and they have to pull the trigger on him now. I agree with Bio. I think they do definitely have to pull the trigger on him now with the title opportunity, and maybe even attacking Roman after the match tonight, which would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
100%.
it's a thing like with Lesnar, where he was WWE's guy of like, right, okay, we need someone to have the title. Let's just ring Brock. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it was. Oh, Roman's injured. Hello, Brock. Are you available? No? Okay, we'll give you more money. Okay, you're available. Brilliant. Like that's that's what it was. Like it now it's time, like we've got this and we've got it full time. Yeah. Let's just get it done. Let's do it. Let's give Obafemi his title. Give him at Mania. Let him have it at Mania.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
don't
it. I think we've hit every single thing there that needs to be said. It's definitely time to pull the trigger on Obafemi. I think you have hinted to that in the post show with CM Punk calling him out, although I think CM Punk called out everyone, including Randy Orton's mum.
CM Punk called out everybody but the number one contender, Sami Zayn.
Not yet. He's not the number one contender yet. Yeah, if we just to sort of wrap things up a little bit there, guys, if we got to give a sort of 30-second summary of what we thought of night one.
Good,
overall great.
solid, impressive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can't disagree with either one of you, and I think it really sets up now for night two. It's set a tone. Hopefully, night two now it goes and beats it. But what did you guys think? Do you agree with our assessment? Do you completely disagree? Are you going to go the Bio versus Liam route and not be sure? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what you guys thought about SummerSlam Night 1. And make sure to tune in for the assessment of Night 2. But guys, thank you very much for joining me. And hopefully I will see everybody in the next one. Take care, guys. Thank you for coming and listening to our thoughts and opinions on the latest action within WWE. While you're here, why not drop us a like, give us a comment, and let us know your thoughts and opinions on the latest action. And remember to ring the bell and be notified the next time a video goes live, where you can join us at ringside with Team 841.